Tom Wraith, thank you so much for joining us in the third episode of our Unlocking Baroque Memories series. How have you been these last few months, these rather unusual and surreal times, but strangely innovative times for us?
Yeah, it's up and down for sure. But you sort of do what you can, and in many ways for us musicians, this time is all that we've been training for. Sitting at home practicing hours and hours away, so nothing changes in certain respects. But yeah, it's hard not playing full and what have you. I've been recording some Bach chorales to try and get that sort of chamber music training keeping going and stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been
up and down.
It's been for me fascinating how musicians have reinvented themselves and done their best and been so imaginative in making themselves relevant and purposeful in this new strange world, albeit temporary, that we exist in. But it's very important anyway in life that we reinvent ourselves. Now, you've chosen this piece, the Bach Suite in G, and I'm very pleased that you chose this because I do recall one of the concerts that we did with you, the Oz and Harmonica Drink to Music series, where it was when we were doing a new program and we were all feeling a bit on edge just beforehand. It was a really tricky few arrangements that we were coming to have to perform, but we knew it was going to be okay, I think, in the back of our minds. But in the changing rooms, at about 20 minutes past 7, you started playing this. And obviously it's the most known of all of the cello suites, but I was just sitting there utterly mesmerized by every note you were playing and just by how relaxed you were when we were about to enter the turbulence of the world of Oz Clarke and how we have to sort of work around him in calmness and serenity. So what does this piece mean for you?
Well, I think it's sort of always been there for me. When I was trying to think about my earliest memories of it, I think my earliest memories that I can really hold on to is the sort of excitement at being able to start learning the piece. It was something that I really had in my mind. And I remember when my teacher, I can't remember how old I was, but in my early teens, I think, saying, let's choose. I think the first Bach we did was the minuet and trio from, or the two minuets, sorry, from the C major suite. But I remember, even though the G major Prelude is still sort of technically a little bit more above the level that I was at the time, I remember very quickly turning back through the pages just to have a go and to really try, and then I remember sort of vividly really sticking with it for years and years. And then it was at university actually that there was a sort of slight light bulb moment for me, and that was hearing a concert given by Joe Crouch, and then the following day I had a masterclass with him. And I just remember, the Prelude, it introduces these suites, and these suites are kind of like what Will was saying in the first suite. They're based in something that was really well known, these court dances. Everyone would have known them, but instead of being a piece of functional music, Bach turns them into a piece of art. And but these preludes are very kind of improvisatory. And I remember Joe really absolutely sort of nailing that improvisatory feel in what is something which is very sort of four square. And I remember having a long discussion with him about it the following day and how he was actually doing that. And that really has stuck with me. I mean, that's what, 12 years ago. It's still really key thing.
It's a really interesting point, because I think for me, that when I started in this world of Baroque music, so many of the musicians, especially the younger ones, were coming out of university thinking, there was a right and there was a wrong. It was very fixed and it was rigid. And then you come across musicians like Joe and the brilliant recordings of John Eliot Gardner, and who just, yes, they were taking all the rules, but then chucking a few of them out the window and allowing the music to be free and expressive, and to trust their instincts and to trust their humanity. And I think it's so important, us as musicians, just allow that human nature of understanding of music, and that each of us as individuals must enable that to come out of the music at the forefront of all performances is absolutely vital. And I just hope that, you know, they teach that more in music colleges now than they perhaps used to, you know, 20, 30 years ago. So anyway, look, thank you so much for doing this for us. You certainly brought me a great deal of pleasure listening to it. Certainly I think our Unlocking Baroque audiences will enjoy it just as much as they have the Monteverdi and the Bach in the previous recordings. Tom Wraith, thank you so much.